Before I call the next case, I had heard that one of you might have a flight. Sorry.
It was Mr. Rosa
I'm
Santos.
going back to
You are,
Wisconsin.
okay. So the current orders, Mr. Boaco and then Ms. Moore. Moore, you're not flying out at any time, are you? I can't, could you come up? I can't hear you. And Mr. Boaco, are you also scheduled to leave at a certain time? Have a flight out today? Okay, what time is your flight, Ms. Moore? Thank you.
Everybody, take care.
Mr. Boaco, with your permission, I'd like to let Ms. Moore go first. She has a flight out. Thank you.
My understanding that Ms. Moore has exhibits that she'd like to distribute to the board members.
Let's do that if we can.
Hand up to the board.
So what time is your flight? Sacramento? Make a call to, you're not going to make it.
Oh, thank you.
Arrangements by phone? We're just waiting for the reporter to get back. All right, I have a quick question for you. I know that there's a petition for modification of probation. Is there also a petition for early termination? Are you also asking for that? That wasn't clear to me when I saw the, so both. Okay, thank you. Both ready? Let's go on the record, please. And this afternoon, we're hearing the matter of a petition for both modification and early termination of probation. The petitioner is Laurencia Lonis Moore. Has case number 2018-050114. Ms. Moore has vocational nurse license number 148649. She is present and will be representing herself, appearing on behalf of the Department of Justice as Deputy Attorney General Joshua Eisenberg. Prior to going on the record, the board had been provided with the copies of the petition and attachments, which I've marked as Exhibit 1. And as Exhibit 2, we've just been provided 4 additional pages. I know that you'll be referencing them, Mr. Eisenberg, but for now, do you have any objection to them both being considered by the board?
No objection.
1 and 2 are in. And if you would help us, please, Mr. Eisenberg, by providing us with a summary and background in this case.
I will. Thank you, Judge. The Exhibit 1 that was submitted into evidence includes a Section A, which is petitioner's probation report, Section B, which includes the petition for modification of probation and the supporting documents, including a POC 18-month DUI program, continuing education certificates, character reference letters, and answers, more lengthy answers to why are you petitioning and why should the board grant your petition. Section C is the license certification. Section D is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. Section E includes the quarterly reports and work performance evaluations. Section F includes petitioner's probation education course certificates. Section G is petitioner's support group attendance sheets. Section H is petitioner's probation correspondence. And Section I is petitioner's 2016 board decision. At this time, I offer this packet into evidence as Exhibit 1. Thank you, Judge. I'll now provide a brief summary of petitioner's license history with the board. On or about July 24th, 1990, the board issued vocational nurse license number 148649 to petitioner. Said license expires on February 29th, 2020, unless renewed. On April 29th, 2015, the board filed accusation number VN-2013-3997 against petitioner, alleging the petitioner was subject to discipline in California due to a March 14th, 2014 criminal conviction for driving under the influence of alcohol. In aggravation, petitioner has the following criminal history that was included in the accusation. April 27th, 2005 conviction for violating Vehicle Code Section 23152, Subdivision A, for driving under the influence of alcohol with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.12. There's an August 9th, 2002 conviction for driving without a license, a violation of Vehicle Code Section 12500, Subdivision A. A January 21st, 1999 conviction, also for violation of Vehicle Code Section 23152, Subdivision A, driving under the influence of alcohol. There's a April 26, 1993 conviction for a violation of Vehicle Code Section 23103 for wet and reckless driving. The 2005, 2002, 1999, and 1993 convictions have all been dismissed pursuant to Penal Code Section 1203.4. Effective January 22, 2016, the board adopted a stipulated settlement and disciplinary order, revoking petitioner's license, staying the revocation, and placing petitioner on probation for 3 years. Because the burden is on petitioner, I have no further statements at this time and would reserve the right to question petitioner.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, prior to your testifying, I'd like to administer an oath. Would you raise your right hand? Swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And as before, I'm going to suggest that you lean forward, bring the microphone close to your mouth so we could hear you. And you'll have to get close.
Can you hear me?
Right into the microphone.
Probably pick just one of them and talk into it directly.
Yes, my name is Laurencia Moore. I'm here to represent myself. 2014, I did get a DUI, and as you can hear, as he read my record, that I had several DUIs. One in 2005, leading up to the one in 2014. For 8 years, I stopped drinking. But today it's different because in 2005, I wasn't really open to learning about what I suffer from. Alcoholic. I realize I'm an alcoholic today. Before spurts of sobriety, the longest spurt was the 2005 to 2014. Today, I'm open to the program. I stay grounded and connected. My meetings, to my sponsor, and to Kaiser. Not have a problem. Can you hear me?
Better.
Okay,
That's
now
it.
you can hear me. Okay. Before I was in denial, the disease kept me in denial for 13 years. I was in denial about what I suffer from, which is alcoholism. I realize today that I do have a problem with alcohol. But I'm grateful that I'm free today, that I do not drink, and that I do what I need to do to keep myself.
Reisenberg?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Moore, you've stated in your petition that your reason for petitioning is to return back to school. How is your current probation affecting your ability to return to school?
Financially, there's no way I can go back to school under the circumstances of testing and submitting and paying for the testing and submitting the urine testing, and then still paying the fine as well.
You had a failure to submit to testing on November 1st of 2017. Can you please explain the circumstances regarding why you failed to submit to testing on that date?
November 1st of 17, I had a sister to die on, I think she died on, are you sure it was November the 1st?
I believe so.
Yeah, November the 1st. I believe that that particular one, my sister died in August 24th. I had two sisters to die, one in August and one in October. So the one that died in October, November the 1st, I did not have the paper, the chain of command paper, and I did call Miss Ebony Newton, and I notified her of that I did not have the chain of command paper to submit. Because I had just tested on the 20th, I think the 20th of October. And then on November the 1st, I didn't have a paper. That was the reason why.
Between the date of your petition and today, have you had any other failures to either submit to testing or to check in to determine if you are required to test?
In the beginning of my probation, I didn't understand really the process. I think I received a letter informing me that I would have to call every day, and I did not really understand the process. So I would say yes, in the beginning of the first, I think, month or 3 months, 90 days of the starting of the probation. I didn't understand the process, so I did receive a letter saying that you need to call every day.
Between, though, the date that you submitted this current petition for reduction in the penalty, and today's date, have you had any further failures to submit to testing or failures to check in for testing?
I would say yes, because the November 1st one, and I think in the beginning of probation, yes.
But aside from the beginning of your probation where you've stated you didn't understand the program entirely and the November 1st, 2017 incident, have you had anything beyond November 1st, 2017 where you failed to submit to testing?
Not that I can recollect, but I do recall the one near my sister's death. I remember that.
How have you rectified the situation regarding not having a chain of command form for testing?
Because of the loss, I lost one in August, and then I lost another sister in October. Emotionally, when I did submit on the 20, it was like my sister died on the 22nd or 23rd. I had to submit like something on 24th, 26th, somewhere near her death. So when I did that submission, not realizing or acknowledging that that was my last chain of command paper, so I called Former Tech, which is in San Diego, and when I called and I got the recording that I had to go, I had to make a choice. Well, do I take off of work? Do I try to get down to San Diego to try to get that proper chain of command paper? And when I notified them, they told me no, that we cannot fax it to you. We cannot FedEx it to you in one day, no. And so what I did was call Miss Newton, my probation officer, and informed her of the situation. And she said, well, Miss Moore, you know, you have been in compliance with your probation, but this will go down as a dirty. And at that point, I just accepted what she said, and I'm sorry and I apologize that I failed.
Ms. Moore, you've stated that you're currently maintaining sobriety. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What is your sobriety date?
4/29/15.
And what does that sobriety date mean to you? Why is that specific date meaningful?
Because I'm free today. I don't have to drink over my emotions. I don't have to go into a drink. That I'm free today, that I can look in anybody's eyes in the window of their soul, and that I'm free today, that I don't have to drink over it. Yes, I have gotten arrested for some DUIs, but I'm a better woman all the way around because I'm learning about myself, and I'm honest to myself and others, and I'm open-minded to the willingness of learning more about what I suffer from.
Are you currently attending the outpatient rehab program, Kaiser Addiction Med?
Yes, that's I made a conscious decision to involve that in my recovery process. I like going there. It was supposed to be just for 3 to 4 months, but I go every week. I like it. It keeps me grounded. It's a part of my foundation of recovery.
And what is involved in that program? Are those group meetings? What is can you please describe the program?
It's they test you with an analyzer, breathalyzer. They take your urine. They have 6 lecture classes on different, drugs, alcohol to inform you, and to keep you educated on what's going on today with drugs and science. We have group meetings, and we talk about triggers and all different types of stuff. It's a group meeting, and it's a facilitator, a therapist, so it is really good and it's very informational.
Through that program, have you been able to identify your own triggers?
Of course.
And what are those triggers?
Well, one, I found out was my mom, because I wasn't very assertive to her, that she would say some things that would, hurt my feelings, and then I would just stuff it. Because out of respect to my mom, I would not, disrespect her. So, like, I would allow her to talk to me way or harsh way and profanity and some, and I would not say anything.
Have you made efforts to address at least that trigger or other triggers you've been able to identify? If so, can you please explain how?
Today I'm humble. I don't have to react. Say something to me to hurt my feelings. I can express to her in a kind way that, you know what, that hurt my feelings, and I can remove myself from the situation.
Is that the only trigger that you identified, or is that just the primary trigger that comes to mind at this moment?
It's just the primary trigger that comes to mind, but emotional feelings.
Are you also attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings?
Twice a week.
Are you currently working the 12 steps?
Yeah.
And what step are you currently on?
My current step I'm on is 4.
And what is that step?
The 4th step is doing a thorough inventory of my whole entire life.
Given the recurrence of alcohol issues in your past, how can you ensure the board that your criminal history involving alcohol is in fact in your past?
Today I'm a different lady. I surrender to a God that has all power. I don't surrender to my feelings. I don't surrender to someone else. I surrender to Him and allow Him to guide me and direct me daily. And I apply a group of principles that I have learned to my daily life. And I don't ever want to drink again.
Ms. Moore, are there currently any criminal or civil charges pending against you in this state or in any other jurisdiction?
Not that I know of, no.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Moore at this time.
Thank you very much. And now, board members?
Yes, Ms. Moore, from your petition, what I gather is that the major reason behind your desire for modification is economics, the economic burden of continuing with the testing. Is that correct?
The monthly fine that I pay and that I want to go to school, but it's no way that I can go to school with. The fine too, as well.
So economics is also preventing you from going to school. It's not that obtaining your license back again or
But I want
modifying your probation is going to have an impact other than a fiscal one.
Well, I want to obtain my license again, and I want to go to school as well. But if I'm not on probation, I don't have to test, so that money that I am testing with, I can go towards the tuition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. I just have a couple questions for you. I see that you do have a sponsor, and I believe you submitted a letter from her, Miss King.
Yes.
How long has she been your sponsor?
How has she been?
How long has she been your sponsor?
Since 2015.
And how often do you see her?
Twice a month, but we see each other 4 times a month because we go to the same meeting.
And I see a letter in here from a therapist named Miss Spinoza. Do you still see Miss Spinoza as your therapist?
Spinoza?
I believe so. Josephine P. Spinoza, LMFT.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
She was a prelapse prevention. She did the 6 education lectures, and she does a prelapse prevention. It's only 10 sections.
In her letter, she says you are enthusiastic and an active participant in the group. You are honest, insightful, and hardworking. And in the 8.5 years I've worked at this clinic, Ms. Moore stands out in my mind as an exceptional individual who has made use of all the tools which have been offered to her. You also say in your own letter, I've learned tools of how to cope with life skills. So you and Ms. Spinoza both refer to tools which you have learned in the addiction recovery program. Can you explain to me what those tools are that you have learned?
Are the set of principles like honesty, open-minded, willingness, brotherly love, sisterly love, faith, integrity, those things. It's like 36 different principles.
Thank you. And then my last question is, you did say you've recognized your triggers, and one of them was maybe some interpersonal communication with your family. If now that the same thing were to happen, say you got in an argument with a family member who was maybe a trigger for you, how would you deal with that, cope without using alcohol?
I would probably reach out and call my sponsor and run it by her and talk to her about it. And pray, meditate. I journal too as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us. Just two little things. I want to make sure I'm understanding clearly why you're asking for a change in your current probation, but also an early dissolution of it. Can you just make sure we're clear on that? You mentioned school. Is there anything else besides the financial piece that we might have missed? Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I'm just want to make sure I get this clear. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being so clear about your intentions. So from what I understand is you attend 2 meetings with Kaiser a month, right?
No, 4 every
4.
Monday.
Every Monday,
Mhm.
you go to a Kaiser meeting where you discuss education about drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and they also do testing.
Yes, random.
And is this with your health insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you also attend Alcoholics Anonymous.
That's correct.
And if we were to remove the probation, and would you continue this pattern of attending these meetings?
I have to. Yes. It's a must. I like going to meetings, and I'm going to tell you something. It's like now that I've been going for so long, it's an uneasiness. It's like I have to get to a meeting. I'm conditioned myself to go.
And is this so that, and I'm using the term you mentioned, so that the disease doesn't take over your life? Is that why you attend, or why? You say you like it, but why? Why do you like going?
Because it's treating me. It's like medicine to my soul. Kaiser, I don't have to go to Kaiser. But I choose to go to Kaiser. Because it gives me a balance between going to the AA meetings. And it's something outside of AA.
And then the last question is, has the job ever been a trigger for your alcoholism?
Of course. Of course. The job, that was a trigger because, it was a big write-up in the newspapers and everything, and how they closed it down and all of that.
So how would you deal with that trigger now?
With that trigger, I would deal with it just like with any other trigger. I would run it by my sponsor, pick up and call somebody. I can talk to my therapist one-on-one about it. Yeah. Journal about it.
Thank you so much. That's all for me.
Ms. Moore, thank you for being here. Based on your petition and your testimony, it appears that you've made a terrific transformation. And I just want to commend you and urge you to continue to work in the steps.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moore. I want to echo Mr. Durking's sentiments. I congratulate you on your recovery and encourage you to continue. Thank you.
I echo those sentiments as well. You were truly a success case, and you should hear that and take it in. Your probation will end if we do nothing in December this year, correct? And you really want to start school and need the financial relief in order to do that, which is
I
why
would
you're.
like to start in January.
You'd like to start. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, I think the board has asked their questions. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nothing further, thank you.
You need not, if you don't want to, but is there anything else you'd like to add in closing?
I would just like to say thank you for your time, and I appreciate, and that's it.
Thank you. We'll go off the record. I suggest that the board take a recess at this point, and we'll come back and do the last. Your call.
Folks, 5 minutes.
Mr. Eisenberg, are you all set?
Prepared, yes, thank you.
All right, let's go on the record, please. We're now hearing the matter of a petition for early termination of probation. Petitioner is Mr. Emmanuel Okiere-Boako. He is present, appearing on his own behalf. This has the Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2018-050109. Mr. Boako is a psychiatric technician. He has license PT 36991. Representing and appearing on behalf of the Department of Justice is Deputy Attorney General Joshua B. Eisenberg, and we have a full quorum of the board. And first by having Mr. Eisenberg provide board members with an overview of this case.
Thank you, Judge, and good afternoon, board members. Exhibit 1 has been provided to the judge prior to beginning this particular hearing. It includes the following documents. Section A is petitioner's probation report. Section B includes the petition for early termination of probation and the supporting documents, including on B7, a Penal Code Section 1203.4 dismissal for at least one conviction. Section C includes a license certification. Section D is a notice of hearing and the related correspondence. Section E are the quarterly reports and work performance evaluations for petitioner. Section F is the probation education course certifications. Section G are the petitioner's support group attendance sheets. Section H are the petitioner's probation correspondence. And Section I is the 2014 board decision. At this time, I offer this packet into evidence as Exhibit 1.
One is in.
Thank you, Judge. I'll now provide a brief summary of petitioner's license history with the board. On or about December 16th, 2004, the board received an application for psychiatric technician from petitioner. On or about May 28th, 2010, the board received petitioner's application for re-examination for psychiatric technician licensure. The board denied the application on February 17th, 2011. On or about January 12th, 2012, the board filed a statement of issues against petitioner's application for a psychiatric technician license. The statement of issues was filed based on criminal convictions as follows. On November 19th, 2007, petitioner was convicted for driving with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or more. On April 23rd, 2008, petitioner was convicted for driving with a suspended license. On January 20th, 2009, petitioner was convicted for driving with a blood alcohol concentration above 0.08%. An administrative hearing was held on August 12th, 2012. Effective November 14th, 2012, the board adopted the administrative law judge's proposed decision and determined that a license should issue to petitioner. upon completion of all other requirements necessary for licensure. The license would be immediately revoked, and petitioner was to be placed on 3 years of probation. On March 22, 2013, a psychiatric technician license was issued to petitioner. It was revoked, and the revocation was stayed pending the 3-year probation. On March 27, 2014, an accusation and petition to revoke probation was filed against petitioner based on another criminal conviction related to driving while under the influence of alcohol and causing a vehicle collision at a DUI checkpoint. The incident occurred on August 25, 2012, after the administrative hearing, but prior to the board's decision. The conviction occurred on December 13, 2012, after the order to issue the license had become effective. Following an administrative hearing, the board issued an order effective November 26, 2014, revoking petitioner's license, staying the revocation, and imposing a 5-year probation. Petitioner has been employed at CNS Network as a psychiatric technician since July 11, 2012. Because the burden is on petitioner, I have no further statements at this time, but would reserve the right to question petitioner.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenberg. At this time, Mr. Blanco, if you'd raise your right hand, I'd like to administer an oath. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may begin. Perhaps address specifically the reasons why you would like an early termination of probation.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Emmanuel Ochrebioko. I came in front of you today to plead and to kind of help me see through your decision why I'm asking for the early termination of my probation due to reason that I agree that all these incidents do occur, and that I have a problem with alcohol. And even though I'm sober right now, but I'm still in the struggle. We're going to keep doing what I'm doing. All these events happens before I took my licensure for the psychiatric technician examination. Also, fingerprint, it shows that I have this issue came up, and the other ones that came up was due to from my previous hearing with the former administrative judge that I attended in downtown LA. I was in an abusive relationship, though it wasn't an excuse, but it acted as a trigger for me to. As an escape, back then, because every situation back then, I found out that when she called the police always take me in or give me a warning, even though she is the one that was abusing me. So I couldn't take it anymore because I'm the only person in this country. I don't have no family. There's nobody to report to. There's nobody to fall back on. There's no family. There's nobody. There's no auntie I can talk to. So I use alcohol as a comforter, which wasn't supposed to be back then. Before I was able to get out of that bad marriage for 7 years, and that's what led to the conviction that I had. Then the second one that I had when I faced the board and the board were about to issue me my license, was I was so happy. The first one was I was going through a troubled marriage. Trigger can be either for something positive, it can be something bad. So the first one was something bad was happening to me, and I seek alcohol as a way of help, which shouldn't be the case. The second situation was I was happy to get out from the marriage. I have a nice lady pregnant for me. I had a baby shower in the park. I was going home from the baby shower when I had this incident. Of course, I took some drink at the park when we went for the baby shower. So in a nutshell, it's like the first one was through a bad marriage. The second one was I was so happy that I can't control my temper because I have a baby coming on the way. I regret what happened, and I took compliance of all the probation, condition very seriously. And since then, I have come around and came to realize that, I should be able to control my emotion, whether something positive, whether something negative. If I can't control it, it's going to lead to a bad decision, because I shouldn't have get into the car at the park during my baby shower, on that day. So I decided to remember that, okay, what about if something drastic happened? Am I going to be able to live long enough to see the happiness of the baby that I'm so happy about? So ever since then, I've been very, very, serious about, my sobriety, and especially, the reason that my daughter shows me every day, tells me the reason why I have to keep my license, because it was during our baby shower, I have a ugly incident that happened. So every time I look at her face, I fight every day to make sure I don't disappoint her. It doesn't happen anymore. So it's a reason for me to be able to keep myself above water and keep going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Eisenberg will have questions for you at this time.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Buaco, I believe you stated or you provided some background information regarding 2 convictions for driving under the influence of alcohol, but you do acknowledge that you in fact have 3 convictions for driving under the influence of alcohol, correct?
The first one was the 2012. That's the last one. That's the latest one, 2012. That's the one that happened right on the edge of my baby shower. The one before that is the 2007, 2008 that you talk about. The one you call the suspended driving under suspended driver license, that was a condition that the judge in Torrance back then gave me, that if you can prove to me that you can go to the DMV and get me your driver license, because the day the police pulled me over, they actually pulled me over because I didn't have my driver license with me. I was a real estate agent by then. I went for an open house, and I didn't have my so he pulled me over, and he said, "Why, you drinking?" I said, "No, we had a wine in the open house." So then the judge said, "If you provide me with the evidence that go to DMV, if DMV can give you a driver license and bring it to me to show me at the court, I would drop it." So they cited me as driving under a suspended driver license, because when the police pulled me over back then, automatically DMV suspend your license because it enter into the record.
Okay, but so based on my review of this Exhibit 1, there was also a 2009 conviction in which you were convicted of driving under the influence with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.15%. So there, in fact, are 3 driving under the influence convictions and 1 driving on a suspended license. Isn't that correct?
The one 2009 is the one that comes beside the one 2012. That was the one with the bad relationship, when I get out from the house and go, and just drove out, and because I was abused, so I just drove out, bought a drink, and I just keep going. That was the 2009 situation that I just explained right now. 2012 was the baby shower situation. The earlier one you mentioned prior was said that I have a suspended driver license. That happened with the one of 2007 that you talked about.
Okay. You had 2 separate probation violations during your term of probation to date. You had violated Term 10 by filing your course completions for educational coursework 90 days past due. Can you explain what led to that violation of probation?
Thank you very much. During this period, The board gave me 21 conditions to meet with when I came to Sacramento to meet with Miss Amy Fuente. And she said, and I said, you know what, I don't think I can do this right now. I have a new daughter. I can't go further. I would like to surrender my license. She said, no, Emmanuel, you are powerful than what you think. Why don't you give it a try? And if you know you can't do it any further, call me, let me know. I will ask you to come in and surrender your license, but give it a try. So that's what gave me that. I said, how am I going to do this 21 condition with a newborn baby with no job? He said, just give it a try. You never know what's going to happen. So I did give it a try. So the reason why this one was late is like I have so much on my plate. And as I understand, the board take compliances very seriously. Lateness, yes, it's a violation, but I make sure that I did that 30-unit course program, chemical dependency, and I submitted it to the board. Thank you. That's more reason why I'm late.
The other violation of probation you had was of term 19. You missed a required test on December 13th, 2016. Can you please explain that violation?
Yeah. One of the conditions of the probation is you got to have at least 3 or 4 chain of custody form with you at all time. There's no excuse. There's no if or but. You got to have at least 3 or 4 with you. I'm required to test twice a month, which means there's no excuse for you not to have extra. But the fact that, you know, limitation of work, not enough money to go around. So most of the time when I order 3 or 4, I have to wait till the other batch of 2 are being used for the first week of the next month before I send for another one. Of course, it came from San Diego. So immediately I used the last one. I sent a money order in. I used to use a money order. Lately, I started calling them by phone with my credit card, and they send it down immediately. So I ordered for another one. The lady that took my order, I called them, they got the money order. The form, chain of custody, was shipped out. But one way or the other, post office, they said they don't have no control over the post office. Post office do not deliver it in my mail when I check in the next morning. And I was supposed to test. So immediately I called San Diego, asked to speak to the supervisor, and she said, okay, you know what, Emmanuel, we know you. You've been testing for about 3 years, but at the same time, we're going to put an email into the board because you have something like this haven't happened to you before. But you two try and call the board and let them know what's going on. So couple of days later, I received a letter from the board asking me what happened, and I wrote description of what happened, that I used my last chain of custody, thinking that the mail will get to me when, you know, because normally they don't text, they text at randomly. So that day I went for testing. I said, okay, probably within the next a day or 2, my mail should be in, so that I can have another 3 chain of custody with me. But I think I guessed wrong, so that's why I missed that particular one.
On page B4 of your petition, you've stated that your date of sobriety is 2012. However, on your quarterly report, starting on E9 for the period of July 2017 to September 2017, it states that your sobriety date is October 22nd, 2013. Can you please explain the discrepancy between the sobriety date you provided on your petition and the sobriety date that you've provided on your quarterly report?
That was probably be a typographical error. Maybe I wrote it wrong. Actually, my sobriety date is October 22nd of 2013, not 12.
And since October 22nd of 2013, have you abstained from all alcohol and drugs?
Yes.
And why is October 22nd, 2013 particularly significant to you as your sobriety date?
Thank you very much. As I said earlier on, October is a very special day for me. My daughter was born on October 20th, 2012. So October 22nd, 2013 correlates with almost the date of birth of my daughter. So I decided to use that day as a stepping stone that in the midst of sweetness and in the midst of bitterness, I should not use alcohol as an escape route, because when I'm celebrating a birthday, I can be overwhelmed by happiness and decide to get a drink. And it's almost the same time something bad happened to me as well. So October, regardless of the date, ring a bell in my brain all the time, because it correlates with snowball, something snowball in my life on that October when I first had that incident.
Stated to the board this afternoon that I believe in 2007 you were here sort of on your own with no family to speak of. Do you have a more substantive support group in place today in the event that you have a relapse?
Yes. First of all, I came with me from LA. It's a mentor. And apart from that, the board grant me a probationary psychiatric license, and where I work in a clinical research. And in that clinical research, I happen to be the only psychiatric technician in that program. The next person that have the same license like I do, her name is Miss Sandra Scott. She is a chief trainee that works in the corporate office. So apart from that, we only have heavy ends and RNs. And the clinical research I work in is a psychiatric clinical research. Thereby, it shows the invaluable, importance of my license. I'm the only one that was able to conduct group that understand behavior differences when it start happening, when we use test medication on them approved by the FDA. So when we have patients coming with schizophrenic and schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenic disorder and bipolar disorder, the nurses sometimes do not understand what kind of behavior they're emphasizing. So most of the time, with my capacity, I cannot be the shift lead, but as a member of licensed nurse that is on the floor, I always tell them, you know what, you guys always, when they ask for stuff, refer them to me. I understand what they're trying to do. You guys just give the medication and leave the behavior monitoring to me. So the aspect of this is making me to be able to understand my importance and the reason why I have to fight every day to see if I can get my license clear so that I can be able to live up to my full potential.
So if you have an urge to drink or there's a trigger that triggers that event, do you have a support group in place? Who are those individuals you can turn to in that event?
Thank you. I constantly, or sometimes I work on weekend, I'm not going to say regularly, I constantly go to church on Sunday. I have a very close bond with my pastor. My brother here, his name is Alex. We see each other at least twice or 3 times a week. If we don't see, he calls me or I call him. Apart from that, we meet every Saturday morning because he has under 3 years old to 8 years old kids that he trained soccer camp. So I use most of my weekend opportunity that I can use to do thinking about something else, like drinking and running around. I spend it with him, trying to mentor the kids to play soccer. And when I spend the whole Saturday over there, the weekend is gone. So most of the time, that's what I do. And I have I attend church meetings on Wednesday night if I'm not working. I normally work 3 to 11:30. So if I'm not working, I go to church meeting in the evening.
In addition to attending church and the other items you've mentioned, do you also attend AA meetings?
Yes, the board required me to attend. Initially, I started with 2 AA meetings a month. The board increased it to 3 AA meetings a month. And there's evidence right there that I always attend my meeting Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, because those are most of the days that I can go over there and spend an hour before I go straight to work.
If the board grants your petition and terminates your probation early, will you continue to attend AA meetings?
Yes, as a matter of fact, at my job, every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we have AA groups in the job. So we have AA officials that come from outside. So when they come, they meet with me. I have to bring them in to the common area and get list of our clients that's going to attend the AA and be at the corner inside the same room with them, not only monitoring the patient, at the same time gaining experience myself. So I cannot escape it. It comes with the job.
Through the AA program, have you worked the 12 steps?
Yes, I've been in AA program and I've walked the 12 step, yeah.
Is there one step of the 12 step that you find particularly meaningful, and why?
The whole 12 step is very, very interesting, but there's only one that always stand in my mind. That's the number one step, that alcohol is a disease. So it's only until you accept that. Okay, you can either accept it and do the right thing to move on, or deny. When you deny it, you're going to relapse. When you accept it, that you don't have no power over alcohol, then that's the beginning of the healing process. It goes, you start seeing difference when you know that, you know what, I don't have no power over alcohol. So now you have an inner will to overpower that, because as a human being, we always want to prevail. So because of that, you work towards it every day to make sure that you overpower the disease called alcoholism.
And finally, Mr. Buaco, are there currently any criminal or civil charges pending against you in this state or in any other jurisdiction that the board is not aware of?
No, sir. Actually, the ones I have right now, they've been expunged. All those record I have has been expunged.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Beginning with Ms. Carpenter, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Just for clarity, AA is also on your job site. So if we're hearing you correctly, you're saying you will always be at an AA meeting at least once a week, as long as you work where you work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just wanted to congratulate you for being so candid and expressing your positive triggers that drove you to drinking and the negative ones. I think it's important to understand both the good and the bad things that make us, do things that may have serious consequences. I also appreciated your understanding of how important your job is, and it seems to, from what you discussed, that you are providing a leadership in your work site, and I really hope that you can continue to be making these positive steps, and that you continue to be a model for your peers and, for your daughter, right? Your daughter.
Yeah.
And continue doing the great work.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Buaco, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Your petition at page B4, Chemical Dependency Support Group, you indicated that you do not currently have a sponsor. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever have a sponsor?
I only have a mentor.
You have a mentor?
Yep.
All right, so this is the person is this person affiliated with AA or the 12-step programs at all?
Oh,
Okay, because in AA, you work the steps. And one of the pieces is that you rely on the advice and support of the sponsor, especially for some of the early steps, right?
yes, sir.
4, 5, 6?
Yes, sir. The only reason why I can give explanation for that is he's my mentor, because not because of the sporty activities that he does. He's an elder in the church, and I believe that you know, most of the time when we talk, he's always offering me prayer, able to overcome the thirst that push you stuff, that push you to do stuff. That's why he's my mentor. But for the sponsorship, at the AA meeting place, I go 9604 South Figueroa. I'm so sorry, you know, it's very hard for somebody like me to step into an AA group meeting without being noticed. With that being said, the leader of the AA group meeting, she have a special bond with me. Every time I walk in, oh, here comes the tall man. Oh, here comes the African man. She called me some kind of name. So it gives me some kind of comfort, some kind of open heart that I can ask them of anything. They can always come around, me. So because of that warm greeting when I walk in as the tallest person in the building, he answered like, you know what? That's all the sponsorship I got. Special bond. I'm accepted here because I cannot hide. Even though if I come in late and I try to hide, oh, Mr. Emmanuel, we see you right there, because I can't hide. Huh?
Okay, the reason I'm asking this question is the knowledge of the STEP programs is very important. So the participant is able to be successful in the program. My question really is, how are you going to be maintaining success in the program if you don't have a sponsor?
Thank you, sir. If by all means everything's said and done, I'm still going to go back over there. I'm actually even looking at, because when you look at my record, I take compliance very seriously. Whether late or done on time, I make sure what is expected of me is done before I provide any excuse whatsoever. So I'm actually thinking about going back over there, because everybody seems to want to know, all of a sudden, want to become a psych tech. Oh, they want to know more information. So I felt like going back over there might help me a little bit, not only may be able to finish hopefully with 95% passing rate of my compliance, but at the same time, for me to be able to stand at the podium and want somebody that is new into the program can look at me one day and say, you know what, I want you to be my sponsor. That is that's my goal, that I want to give back to them. I want to go in there, because when I first started, I feel timid. That's the more reason why I wasn't able to approach anybody as a sponsor. I feel timid. My language, my tongue gave me up. So I felt like nobody wants me. But my height brought me in. So I want to be able to go back there and say, you know what, regardless of my accent, if you can understand what I'm saying, I can help. That is my end goal. Not me, somebody being my sponsor, but me going back there and be a sponsor to somebody.
Okay, so I understand that. And being a sponsor requires intimate knowledge of the steps, having worked through them perhaps many, many times, a big book study. Do you do that?
Yes.
And do you go to any other types of meetings, speaker meetings, et cetera?
No, the only ones we do on Thursday is they ask anybody that feel like they want to share to come outside and come and share something, about something that happening in their lives, something they want to share with people to gain from. If they relapse and they feel like they need help, then we give them some kind of encouragement and a hand of applause to see that, you are always welcome, to share.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hi, ma'am.
So first, I want to congratulate you on your success. I don't want to take that away, but I'm just confused about a couple of things. And it goes back to the whole, it shouldn't matter, but it kind of does matter. And did you have 3 DUIs or 2 DUIs? Because the record states, actually, that has been accepted, that you have 3 DUIs and a driving on a suspended And that is why you were on 5 years of probation. So is it 2 or is it 3? And I don't really care which year they happened.
Candidly, ma'am, it's 3. The first one happened way before I finished my school for my licensure. And that's the one that the judge told me if I can prove in that I can bring my license in, my driver license in, it's going to throw the case out of the window. The second one was the one of the spouse abuse situation that I resorted to getting out from the house and just go drink and keep driving around. And the third one was the one that I relapsed after I was so happy that I get out from an abusive relationship and I end up having a baby coming on the way. So I still resort as a way of escape, which is too close to each other back then. It's within 2 years I left the abusive marriage when I met a new lady and I found out that she's pregnant for me. So it's a mix of sorrow and joy for me. So
Okay.
My brain couldn't process it.
Okay. And the amount of alcohol in your system, each time that you were arrested, well, 3 times, it's kind of curious. 2 times it was 0.18, and 1 time it was 0.15. That's quite a lot of alcohol.
First one that happens was the one I abusive relationship. That one I was actually drinking and driving, on that set day. But the second one, I was leaving the park. The baby shower is over.
It's okay. You really don't have to explain those.
Because I was carrying a load, leftover alcohol from the park in my car when it happened. So when it happened, the alcohol bottle broke and spilled over. So it helps to film the car when the accident, when somebody bumped my car. So the bottle broke. So it films the car up. When the police came, it was a total smell of alcohol all over inside the car.
Okay. And I may have missed it, but your probation, you still have 1.5 years left of your probation that you're asking us for an early termination of. Your probation is not up until 2019, correct?
Actually, it was supposed to be it's supposed to be 18 because going by the letter of accusation, the first one was issued in 2012 before it was relapsed, and another one was issued in 2014. This is 2018. If it's for 5 years, according to Ms. Amy Fuente, when I attended the meeting at Sacramento, when I first started, it was supposed to be November 2018. I'm not sure about that 19. When I got the letter, I kind of raised an eyebrow, but I do not want to question the authority, but I think it was supposed to be based on the date on the accusation letter and the 5 years probation from the date that the judge said that, I can continue with my probation. It's supposed to be 2018 November, by my own understanding. I might be wrong.
Okay. And then why is it, I heard you say that you're still struggling, but I haven't heard why you're asking for early termination of your probation. In your packet on D5, it states that you would be better able to secure full-time employment and allocate more resources to your daughter and your sick mother. So can you expand on that a little bit about why you're asking for early termination? Because it appears that you're successful on your probation. So why are you asking to terminate it early?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm asking for early termination not because I have a problem with, being compliant to the terms of my probation. The reason why I'm asking for this opportunity is nothing has to do with what I have to do. It has a lot to do with what I wanted to do, where I'm supposed to be to do. Before I got my license in 2006, I used to work for Department of Correction, Metro Division, which I was a PLPT, pre-license psych tech, before I sit for my board. For my board, I thought I had to leave the state to go outside and be able to read and sit from my board because there was something they called mandatory overtime back then, and I believe I won't be able to read for my board. When I finally passed my board, that's when all this accusation came up. But at the same time, that is not an excuse. I want to go back to Department of Correction. Right now, I'm in the field of clinical research, and I feel like even though I have so much to offer, but I want to be where my mates are, where I can contribute more to the society. So with this situation right here, I cannot work in the state. Even right now, my direct supervisor, my DON that is signing my 3-month monitoring paperwork is getting tired of signing it. Not because I'm not a good staff, not because I can't finish up. It's just because, Emmanuel, when am I going to stop signing this? They should be okay already. I said, Miss Jerry, it's going to be fine. I got to wait till the board tell me to stop. But you do everything already. The job sent me as a psych tech. I was able to do blood draw. I got a blood draw certification. I can do EKG. I can do ECG as a psych tech. So they actually have turned me from psych tech to a clinical psych tech. So I can do everything a nurse can do right now. I take blood with my eyes closed because I do it all the time when we do clinical study. And she was like, you know what? You do more than your scope of practice. And we can't do nothing about it. I said, no, Miss Jerry, until the board said they're satisfied. We have to keep going. Every 3 months, keep monitoring me. Every 3 months, I'm going to bring my paper to you, and you're going to sign it, and I will mail it to the board. That is where I am right now. But the most important thing is I want to concentrate more. Even though with all the skill that I'll be able to gain at this present job, I felt like something is still lacking. I want to concentrate more in my fundamental job that I was actually trained for. Blood withdrawal, EKG as certification. I acquired that in the midst when there's no way for me to go. For me to be able to be relevant in that place of work, I have to be able to adapt, and I have to be able to learn what is required for me so that I won't lose my job, because there's so many people that have licenses that are not on probation, that are LVNs, that are RNs that want to do that job. But you are a psych tech. You want us to keep you in a clinical research company where we do a lot of blood draw and ECG, blood pressure, EKG and everything. You have to come better than monitoring behavior. Give us something where we can keep you. And that's what I have to do. Thank you, ma'am.
I think I just heard you say that the reason that you want to get off of probation is because your current employer doesn't want to continue filling out the quarterly reports. Is that correct?
No, I said because I want to offer more.
No,
I want to be able to offer more.
Okay. But did you not also say that it was because your employer didn't want to keep filling out the quarterly reports?
No, she's saying that because I was supposed to be in a certain level, in a certain position. But because one of the conditions of my probation is I cannot be a shift lead, I cannot be a supervisor, I can just be an ordinary member of staff on the floor. But because of my 5 years experience with the same company, I'm supposed to have moved past that. But because the company has to adhere to the condition of the board, they cannot do anything about it. So she was kind of encouraging, not really urging, it's either encouraging me, you know what, do what you got to do, go to the board and see if you can get yourself, because we want you to be over here, but you are still here because you have conditions tying you down. So it's not that she's not tired of signing that, because she has to do it. If I have to keep working in that company, it's the condition.
Okay. And I want to make sure I understand. Did you talk really fast?
Oh, I'm going to slow down.
You're currently employed as a psych tech, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And your employer just thinks that because you've been with the company for 5+ years, that you should be further along your career path with that company, and they would like you to get there, but because of your quarterly reports and the restrictions on your license, you can't get there. Is that a fair summation?
On the way, but not really there yet. But that is not actually the employer we're thinking about. What happened is, because it's a private company, it's owned by an individual, there's that element of sentimentalism that goes on with the job. You can be promoted based on how the owner of the company perception of you. what they think about you. Are you giving more than your 100%, or were you just acting like you want to give 100%? So all this comes into play. I work for the company. I'm now there for 5 years. This is my 6th year. In November 12th, I'll be 6 years in that company. For 3 years, I was being paid as a mental health worker, and I'm working as a licensed nurse. It's not a violation because I choose to keep my job, because there's no other job that's going to sign my paper. It's not their fault. It's my fault because I put myself in that position. But because I wanted to learn, and I wanted to make sure I prove something to myself, to my family, and to the people that requires me to do certain things, I want to be able to show that I can keep one job and still go ahead and attend to all the condition that was required of me with no other complaint filed against me, no criminal outside, no inside complaint filed against me, with one job, instead of any other person would be flying around looking for any other job around. I was getting paid the minimum wage as a mental health worker, and I'm working as a licensed nurse. Simply because when I accosted my boss, she said, well, we move you to a licensed nurse because you passed your board. You did not sign any document, and because you're currently under probation, we're using it as a learning skill for you, so you are under our observation. So I took it because I know I have more to learn than more to lose. Because I'm so patient, I was able to acquire this skill, not because of money, but because now that skill set is in my brain forever. Even the same job cannot take it away from me. So if I leave and go look for a more profitable job right now, I'll be able to use that skill to help the other job. Not more entry anymore. It's a set of skill.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Follow up quick. You just said something that I need to clarify because we're on the record and we're in an official hearing. I think you might have used it just as a phrase, but I want to make sure. You said that you were speaking to your charge nurse, and she said you're even doing things out of your scope of practice. I want to clarify, are you actually performing any procedures outside of the scope of practice of a psych tech?
No,
Okay.
it's my deal hand.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you say you're performing blood withdrawal. You have received your blood withdrawal certification. Yes, you are performing EKGs, but as long as a psych tech has training, that's within their scope of practice. You're not doing anything like IV pushes, anything like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, it looks like the question is done. I invite you to make a closing statement, but first, Mr. Eisenberg, anything else that you wanted to add?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Waco?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I'm the last person in the room, and thank you for being patient. Most importantly, I've been patient too. I just want to put something out there. And, I always believe that when you point one finger to somebody, the other four finger come back at you. So when you point one finger at somebody, make sure you're pointing the right finger at somebody so that the other four right thing can come back to you. So I always use that as a basis of my judgment all the time. So because of that, I use that to treat all my clients, customers, sponsors, workmates, boss, the same way. I told them, always treat me the way I treat you. So I hope evidence in front of you, you will treat me based on my evidence. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and we'll go off the record. Be sure to get your court reporter form. The board will be going into closed session. A decision will hopefully issue within a month's time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. Off the record.